So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. And we are in the 106th session of the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. We are discussing chapter 10, and we have discussed up to five verses in chapter 10. So, before we begin, let's quickly have the pranam mantras. You can all repeat along with me the pranam mantras. It will be a quick thing, so all of you can please chant. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, everyone. Once again, welcome all of you for the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. So, we have a new devotee joining us today, Vedant, who has also joined Dev. That is nice. And it is very interesting in this specific chapter, the 10th chapter, which is called the opulences of the absolute. Now, it's very interesting where Krishna is revealing his opulences. Why? Because when we know the opulences of a person, then we know his greatness. And when we know his greatness, it's easy for us to surrender to him and also worship him. And more so ever in our bhakti line, we want to love God. It is not simply worship, but we also want to love him. So when we know the greatness of a person, it is very easy for us to surrender. Right? So that is what Krishna has explained. And especially in the previous chapters, previous verses, we have discussed in the last session, 4th and 5th verse, where Krishna has explained many qualities, the gunas, which emanate from him. So whether it is good or bad, we understood that how the source of everything, all the gunas, the qualities is Krishna. Right? So now in this verse, today we are going to cover a few more verses in chapter 10, that is from chapter verse number 6. So Dev, you can unmute yourself and let's chant the 6th verse for today. And also, let's dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and my beloved spiritual master. Yes. So kindly chant and repeat after me. Maharshaya Saptapurve
Maharshaya Saptapurve
Chatvaro Manavastata
Chatvaro Manavastatha
Madbhavamanasa Jata
Madbhavamanasa Jata
Yesham Loka Ima Prajaha.
Yesham Loka Ima Prajaha.
Once again. Maharshaya Saptapurve
Maharshaya Saptapurve
Chatvaro Manavastata
Chatvaro Manavastatha
Madbhava Manasa Jata
Madbhavamanasa Jata
Yesham Loka Ima Prajaha.
Yesham Loka Ima Prajaha.
Wonderful. Please repeat the translation. Please read the translation.
Yeah. The seven sages and the seven great sages, and before them the four other great sages and the Manus, the progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from. Prabhuji is not visible.
Okay, just hold. Yeah.
Yeah, descend from them. Hare Krishna.
So, a very interesting verse here. Krishna is saying the seven great sages, and before them, of course, there are four great more sages we will understand today, and there are Manus who are the progenitors of mankind. Of course, we all know that the word man itself came from the name Manu, Manushya. Okay, that Manushya, that word comes from the word Manu. And then we also know that how there are different things that are born out of different parts of the body of the Lord, the universal form of the Lord. So they're all basically populators of this whole universe. That's why they're called Prajapatis. All these are called Prajapatis. So we should understand a little bit of background about these great sages. Now, interestingly, we should know that Krishna, when he creates this whole world, many people misunderstand that Brahma is the creator. Actually, Brahma is the secondary creator. The primary creator is Krishna. Brahma is born out of Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha means the navel of Mahavishnu, or more specifically, Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So Garbhodakshai Vishnu's navel, when we go to Anant Padmanabha temple in Kerala, we have this beautiful form of Anant Padmanabha. Anant Padmanabha, where we can see that Brahma is emanating from the navel, Hiranyagarbha. You know, from there he is coming out, and he undergoes a lot of penance for 1000 celestial years. And then after a lot of tapasya, Brahma hears only one word, tapa, 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 three times. And then he understands that I need to undergo a lot of tapasya and meditation. After a long time, then the Vedic knowledge is revealed within the heart of Brahma. That is how he understands, he gets his engineering degree to create this whole universe and design this whole universe, when he gets the knowledge from within, as from the Paramatma within his heart. And we should know that Brahma is a very intelligent being, because his body is not made up of the Panchabhuta like us: earth, water, fire, air, ether. His body is completely made up of the intelligence tattva, the buddhi tattva. So he's extremely intelligent, and whatever he gets from knowledge he gets from the Lord, it's all there with him. He doesn't forget. It's very, very special. So now, this Brahma, when he was ordered that he needs to create and populate this whole universe, then he created there are four Kumaras out of his mind. Even Narada was born out of deliberation. We will understand that a little further. But then these four Kumaras were born. Who are these four Kumaras? Sanak, Sanat, Sanandana, and Sanatana. These four Kumaras are little boys. You know, they were so very beautiful and very chubby. You know, you can understand the babies. You know, they're like 5-year-old boys, very, very cute looking babies, Kumaras. And that too coming out of Brahma, you can imagine, very, very beautiful. And they have no clothes. You know, they roam around naked everywhere. They look very cute. So these four Kumaras were ordered by Brahma that now you people, both all four of you, you populate this world. This four Kumara said, no, we don't want to get into this family business. We don't want to become a family man. So they were so attached to the Supreme Lord and understanding of the Vedas and all those things. They were so involved in understanding the scriptures that they didn't want to get into this family grihastha life. They didn't want to get into that. So they took some water from their kamandalu and they cursed themselves. We should be remain always, we should remain brahmacharis. We should not get married, and we should never reach adulthood. So that's why these four Kumaras, they're called Kumaras, because they never reached their adulthood. They were small boys, and they're still small boys only. So Brahma became very upset. You know, they rejected the orders of the fathers. Actually, as per our Vedic culture, one is not supposed to reject the father's orders. Father is considered to be very superior. So we should not reject. Like Lord Rama, you see, Lord Rama perfectly followed each and every order that Dasharatha gave. He was a very sincere and obedient son. But here the four Kumaras are rejecting, but for a higher purpose. So when it is for a higher purpose, they said, no, we don't want to get married. Then, okay, all right. Then that is how these four Kumaras went, and Brahma became angry. Brahma became angry, and from the middle of his eyebrow, Rudra was created. And then Rudra, when he was created, he was ordered. Okay, now Rudra means always crying. You know, he keeps crying. Moment he was born, he was crying. Then somehow Lord Brahma pacified him, and then you told, now you go and populate. And then Rudra started populating the world. And when he creates and he populates the world, you should know that, you know, he was creating He was uh, creating all this bhuta, pishachas. His associates are like that. So they were creating more nuisance now. So they were destroying the creation that Brahma had created. So he said, "Your creation is enough now. You take a pause." So Rudra was told, "No, you please pause now. Enough of your creation, because they are destroying my creation." And then the Saptarishis were created by Brahma, and of course there are many Prajapatis also who came. The Saptarishis at that point of time, there were so many special Prajapatis. They were born. Now, for example, in this Saptarishi Mandala, we say Saptarishi Mandala means there is a set of Saptarishis. There is Bhrigu, Vashishta, Angiras, Atri, Pulasya, Pulaha, and Kritu. So these are some seven Saptarishis who actually are the Saptarishis of the Manvantara Swayambhuva Manvantara. That is the first Manvantara. So we are right now in the seventh Manvantara. Seventh Manvantara is Vaivasvata Manvantara. So here, these seven Rishis, which is the first set, this first set belongs to the Swayambhuva Manvantara. So all these great sages were created by Brahma. Now, very, very special. See, Rudra was created from the in between the eyebrows. Narada was created by Brahma just out of deliberation, just out of thinking. When Lord Brahma was thinking, out of deliberation, Narada was created. Vashishta, the great Rishi, was born out of breathing. When just out of the Brahma's breath, Vashishta was created. Daksha, Daksha Prajapati was created from the thumb of Brahma. Bhrigumuni was created out of touch of Brahma. Kritu was created from the hand of Brahma. Then Pulasya Muni was born out of ears of Brahma. Angira was born out of mouth of Brahma. Atri Rishi was born out of eyes of Brahma. Then there is Marichi, who was born out of the mind of Brahma. Then Pulaha Rishi was born out of the navel of Brahma. So all these are different Prajapatis. But the Saptarishi Mandala consists of only seven. So these seven Saptarishis, they take care of the universal affairs. They are always engaged in so many different varieties of things which are happening in this universe. All of these are very, very powerful rishis. And one of them also, which I missed actually, was Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni, also a great Prajapati, who was born out of the shadow of Brahma, who later on becomes the husband of Devahuti, and then of course they give birth to a child called Kapila, who is the Lord himself. Right? So you can see all these great personalities, the Saptarishis, were born out of Brahma. And the today's Saptarishis are which are in the seventh Manvantara. That is, we have Vasishta, we have there is no Bhrigu this time. So there is Vasishta, Vishwamitra, Atri, Atri Rishi is there, Kashyapa Muni is there, and Kashyapa Muni, then Jamdagni, we have Gautama Rishi, and we also have Bharadwaj Rishi. So these are seven Saptarishis of our Manvantara right now. Very, very, very special and very, very powerful. All these great Saptarishis, they are taking in charge of many, many great affairs of the universal things, and they also are part of the Rig Veda. Actually, their contribution towards the Vedas is huge. All these Saptarishis have contributed towards the Vedas, and each Vedas, especially in the Rig Veda, each mandala is dedicated to one of these Saptarishis. So their contribution is huge. Now, if you try to understand one by one, there is so much to understand, because the Saptarishis, we see that these Saptarishis, for example, Kashyapa is one of the greatest rishi, whose contribution again is huge in our Vedic culture. Now, he got married to the daughters of Daksha and Aditi and many so on. In Bhagavatam it comes, there are 13 daughters of Daksha who got married to Kashyapa Muni. In fact, this word Kashmir also comes from Kashyapa Muni. Kashmir today we name, it's all because it's coming from Kashyapa Muni, because he was residing there in that region. So very, very special Kashyapa Muni. And Kashyapa Muni is the progenitor because he populates the world. Like for example, I have given you the story of Kadru. Kadru is the mother of all the snakes, and Vinata, who is one of the wife, she is the mother of Garuda and Aruna. So, like that, the snakes, the birds, and many such different varieties of species were created by Kashyapa Muni. And then we also have Atri Rishi. Atri Rishi also is very special again. He also has contributed too much. Atri and Anusuya. Anusuya is a wife. She is one of the Pativratya. Actually, some of this seven is a very auspicious number in our Vedic culture. So there is a Saptarishi, there is a Saptapadi that we take during the marriage, isn't it? So there is this. Many such seven auspicious things, like we have this seven great pativratas, and one of them is Anusuya. Atri Rishi and Anusuya also have given a lot of instructions to Lord Rama and Mother Sita in Ramayana. So Atri Rishi is there. Then we also have Vashishta Muni, who is very, very special. And even he became the Kulaguru of the Surya dynasty, that is the solar dynasty. And Vashishta Muni's contribution in Ramayana is amazing again. And Vashishta Rishi he's a Brahma Rishi actually, who is very, very powerful. Just by his Brahma Jnana, he can achieve so many things. And then we have Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra was actually a Kshatriya, born Kshatriya. His name was Kaushika. He was King Kaushika, but later on, when there was a huge fight between Vashishta Muni and Vishwamitra, Vishwamitra understood that, oh, this Kshatriya Balam, this Shatra Balam is of no use. What is real Balam is Brahma Tejo Balam Balam. That is the most powerful strength, and I should acquire that Balam. And then he goes on for doing lot of tapasya, and then Vishwamitra becomes very, very powerful. After so many obstacles, Ramba came to disturb him, Menaka came and disturbed him, and many, many such things were happening in his life. And after all that tapasya and all his ups and downs in life, finally he became a Brahmarishi. And Vasishta himself uh, acknowledges the greatness of Vishwamitra Muni. And today we all chant this Gayatri Mantra. All of us, we are chanting Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri Mantra is so powerful that is actually given to all of to us by Vishwamitra Muni. Vishwamitra Muni is the one who actually gave us this wonderful Gayatri Mantra, which is so powerful, isn't it? Then we have Jamadagni Muni. Jamadagni means one who worships fire, Agni Dev, Jamadagni. And when he was born, he was a child prodigy in weapon, in military science, and he was also knowing a lot of Vedas. Jamadagni Muni was very knowledgeable, and that's why he was in one of the Saptarishi Mandala, Jamadagni Muni. So then Gautam Rishi, who was residing in the banks of Godavari, very, very powerful sage, and he is also has contributed a lot of Vedic knowledge to our tradition, our Vedic tradition. Bharadwaj Muni has given us Ayurveda and many such wonderful knowledge that we hear today. Bharadwaj Muni is the one who actually gave us a lot of details about Ayurveda and so many things in terms of Rig Veda. Many contributions are there. When we read the Vedas completely, we get to know many, many contributions of all these Saptarishis. So these are the great spiritual progenitors, and that's why when we are asked for the gotra, when we go to a temple, the pujaris will they ask us gotra. Many people say, okay, we are from Bharadwaj gotra, we are from Vashishta gotra, we are from Vishwamitra gotra. So like that, many, many gotras we tell based on our rishi. We are all following one of these rishi munis. We are coming in the lineage of one of these rishis, isn't it? So Krishna is talking about all these great people and telling that I am the source of all these people. Can you imagine now? He's saying that I am the source of all these. I am, all these are so great sages. And then Krishna is saying that I am the origin of all this. Now you can imagine how great Krishna is, isn't it? Very, very special. So, this is what we have understood in this verse. We'll go to the next verse. So, Hina Mataji, you can unmute yourself and let's chant the next verse. Just give me a minute. Yeah. The seventh verse for today. Etam vibhutim yogam cha. Yeah.
एतं विभूतं योगं च
Mama yo vetti tattvataha.
I can't hear.
Okay, I think there is some delay. I'll ask Vinodji to unmute.
Okay, I'll say
Etam vibhutim yogam cha.
etam vibhutim yogam cha
Mama yo vetti tattvataha.
mama yoveti tattvata
So vikalpena yogena.
so vikalpena yogena
Yujyate natra samshayaha.
yujyayeta natra samshaya.
Once again, etam vibhutim yogam cha.
Etam vibhutim yogam cha
Mama yo vetti tattvataha.
mama yoveti tattvata
So vikalpena yogena.
so vikalpena yogena
Yujyate natra samshayaha.
yujyate natra samshaya.
Wonderful. So let's please read the translation.
One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this, there is no doubt. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Very nice. So we also welcome Achyutanji, who is there on YouTube. He is listening to us on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining, Achyutanji. So we have this again very interesting verse here. So Krishna is saying that anyone who knows or factually convinced that all these opulences and the mystic power is mine, when you know such thing, then such a person will be engaged in unalloyed devotion to Krishna, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna. Very special this is. We should understand this in detail. So in this verse, everybody, we should, especially as spiritual practitioners, we are all looking for spiritual perfection. Now, spiritual perfection doesn't come simply by knowledge, simply doesn't come by some mystical powers. There are many people who acquire a lot of knowledge, they acquire a lot of mystical powers also. Isn't it? Today we are hearing a lot about the one person in MP, you know, who is able to just by looking at your face is able to tell everything about you. So he is quite popular these days, and he's coming. He's a breaking news actually. So he's coming into Aaj Ki Adalat and many such interviews, and that way definitely there is a lot of siddhi that he has acquired through Guru Parampara, and which is genuine. Many people, especially I think today he is in Mumbai. So there is so much attraction towards all these mystical powers. But spiritual perfection is not because of mystical powers or the knowledge that you acquire. Spiritual perfection comes when you start loving God. Krishna is explaining all these opulences today in the Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because ultimately, when we know these opulences, Krishna is saying, factually, when you know all these things, then you will appreciate the greatness of Krishna, how great Krishna is. Many people say that God is great, but how great God is, nobody knows. So Krishna is saying, and he's revealing his greatness to us. Because we cannot know his greatness on our own tiny brain that we have, it is impossible to understand the greatness of God. So Krishna has to himself reveal his greatness to us. And by saying all these different things, he's actually giving us a hint that how great he is. Because when we know that greatness of Krishna, then it is easy to surrender. See, many people, somebody now won Oscar awards, and there's so much of fan following. The moment they're coming back to India on the airports, we see that everybody is just surrounding them. There's a mob around them, and everybody is just, out of their affection or out of their that strong desire to be with that great personality is so much that they want to somehow serve that person. They want to come and close contact with that person. Why? Because they know the greatness. Why the greatness has come? Because they won Oscar awards. The greatness is because the Oscar awards. Now imagine, for small Oscar awards, people can just get so much of fan following. How great Krishna is and how much fan following he should have. Of course, he has a lot of fan following, because even after 5,000 years, we have so much of fan following for Krishna. All these people who come and go, with little Oscar awards, 50 years, 20 years, 30 years, they just forget. By the time the next Oscar award comes, these people are already forgotten. So it's not like that. Krishna's opulence is not like that. Even after 5,000 years, Krishna is still remembered. And who can act like Krishna, and who can create or produce a universe like this, which is so mystical. In fact, the real Oscar award should go to Krishna. So I'm just trying to tell here that how many people, they want to surrender to someone who is great. Now that is why Krishna is saying, "I am so great." When you know that greatness, you will automatically surrender. So it becomes very natural to us. It is not artificial surrender. By the way, when you understand all these things about Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam, this is not an artificial surrenderance out of force. It is very natural, because you know that he is so great. So that's why we should not neglect. Prabhupada says in the purport also that we should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is. Because by knowing the greatness of Krishna, we will be able to have fixed mind on the devotional service of Krishna. We'll be able to fix our mind, because just like when somebody has won something great like Oscars, and they're coming here, all these fans and everybody, they're so engrossed. Always they're just waiting, when will the flight, it will land, when will I meet this person, when will I have a glance of this. Their whole mind is absorbed in thinking about that personality. Why? Because they know the greatness of that person. So similarly, when you know the greatness of Krishna, you will be so absorbed. Oh, when will I be able to see Krishna? When will I be able to understand and have a glimpse of Krishna? Many things like that, you will be absorbed like that, and your devotional service will be with perfection, thinking about Krishna. So wonderful it is. It's very important to know all these things. And Krishna is, in fact, a very great personality. Now and he demonstrated that. When we went to Kalia Ghat, in Vrindavan, we saw that, we understood that how Krishna was dancing on a snake, Kalia. Now, the snake's body is so slippery. Who can dance on a slippery floor like that? You ask any Bharatanatyam dancers, or any dancers for that matter, Kathak dancers, we have seen many times when they come here to perform in the temple, they are so specific. They don't want any slippery mat or anything on the floor. The floor should be very perfect for them, so that they get good grip. Only then they dance, because while dancing, if here and there, if something slips, then they actually may twist their legs, or they may actually twist their waist or anything like that, and it might cause problem to them. They're so careful about the floor. They don't dance on any floor like that. They are extremely careful, all the dancers. Now imagine Krishna is dancing on a slippery floor that is on the the hoods of Kalia. How slippery, but no, he is with full grip, dancing perfectly. And it is glorified so much, isn't it? And that is one instance. We went to Govardhan, and Govardhan is current, it is 22 kilometers in radius. I mean, the circumference is so much. Now, Krishna was lifting this Govardhan, left hand in his little finger for 7 days, 7 nights without any sweat. He's nicely playing a flute with other hand, and everybody singing and dancing. In fact, the 7 days and nights under Govardhan was a festival. Who doesn't want such a festival? Nobody was feeling hungry. Nobody was feeling thirsty. Everyone was enjoying under the Govardhan. So that was his opulence. Krishna has demonstrated his opulences. So some people who, out of their little intelligence, when they try to deride Krishna, here Krishna is clearly stating how great he is. So it becomes very easy for us when we know this greatness of the Lord. We should try to understand. We should involve more and more our engagement of mind into understanding these things. These are very special topics, by the way, right? So this is what Krishna has explained in the 7th words. We'll also quickly understand the 8th words today. So Hina Mataji, you can try now. Probably this will be good. Let us understand the eighth verse. Let me add her to the stream.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, looks like now it is fine. Okay. Aham sarvasya prabho
अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो
matta sarvam pravartate
मत्त सर्वं प्रवर्तते
iti matva bhajante maam
इति मत्वा भजन्ते माम्
buddha bhava samanvitah.
बुधा भाव समन्वितः.
Wonderful. Once again. Aham sarvasya prabho
अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो
matta sarvam pravartate
मत्त सर्वं प्रवर्तते
iti matva bhajante maam
इति मत्वा भजन्ते माम्
buddha bhava samanvitah.
बुधा भाव समन्वितः.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise, who perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. So he's reiterating the same thing here again. He's saying that one who perfectly knows this will engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Now, this is one more verse where we can, which we can actually memorize. This is a very nice and special verse which we can memorize. So Krishna is saying, I am the source of all the spiritual and material worlds. So this is a very, very special thing to know how great Krishna is. So just to give you a relative idea about the world and the creation. Now, this is a relative comparison actually. Now I'm sitting in a room, you're sitting in a room. In that room that you're sitting, there are few living entities, including you. There are few people there. And then along with you in that house, it's not just that you human beings are there, but there are some insects, there are some cockroaches, or maybe some rats also. I'm not sure. If you have done your pest control good, then probably they're not there, but then otherwise they might be there, isn't it? So they're all there. Microbes are there. Now within our body itself there are so many microbes, and externally also there are so many microbes. And there are so many living entities outside of us, there are so many living entities inside of us. Now this is just one house. Now in your whole of apartment, you see there are so many houses, so many human beings, and similarly so many insects and ants and cockroaches and whatnot. All these things, living entities are there. There are plants also, which we cannot exclude. And similarly, there are so many buildings around in your complex, in your society. So many living entities now. You can imagine how many living entities are there. Then you take your area, then you go to your city, Mumbai City. Mumbai City has so many different areas. It's one of the biggest city in India. And like that, there are so many cities like Mumbai in India. Many cities. You can imagine how many living entities are there. And what is India is just one country in this Asian continent. There are so many people, so many living entities, so many wild animals, domestic animals, all put together. You can imagine the kind of living entities are there. And what is this? Asia is just one continent among so many continents, 7 continents in the whole world. Now Earth is just one planet. Now, our Vedic scriptures say that life is not just on Earth, but it is on every planet that is there. Every planet there is some life. Now, you can imagine the vastness of this universe, and our universe has so many planets. There are demigods, there are devatas, and there are pishashas, and there are rakshasas, and each of them have different planets. Unlimited living entities are there all throughout, and this is all controlled and created by one person called Brahma. And our Brahma is considered to be the smallest Brahma, Chaturmukhi Brahma. Chaturmukhi Brahma means the four-headed Brahma. He's just four-headed Brahma is the smallest Brahma in the whole creation. And where is this Brahma coming? He's in one of this Brahmanda, one of the bubble that is created from the body of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu body, when there are so many bubbles emanating, it's all coming out. And each bubble is one universe. And our Brahmanda is the smallest Brahmanda. Can you imagine? And all these different bubbles, there are multiple universes like that. People, scientists are talking about the multi-universe and all those things. It's all there. But they just don't know who is the source. Now, Mahavishnu is the source of all these multiple universes, which consist of so many Brahmas, and every Brahma is managing one of the universes, so many bubbles. And all these bubbles, you can imagine the lifespan of one Brahma is 311 trillion years. 311 trillion years is the lifespan of one Brahma, and all this Brahma's lifespan is nothing but one exhalation of Mahavishnu. He inhales and exhales. When he exhales, all these bubbles will come outside. And when the Mahavishnu inhales again, all these bubbles will get into his body again back. And this is material creation. This is material world. And our Purusha Sukta and the Vedas, they say, Pado Osya Vishwabhutani Tripadasya Mritam Divi. 1/4 is actually the material creation. 3/4 is the spiritual creation. Now you can imagine, in 1/4 of the material creation, if there are so many living entities, which is unimaginable, that is infinity into infinity, you can imagine what is 3/4 of creation. 3/4 of creation is huge. Spiritual creation is 3/4. So this is mind-boggling. So we just cannot estimate the greatness of Krishna, because all these material and spiritual worlds are emanating from Krishna. Krishna is saying, I am the source of the material world and the spiritual world. Just imagine how great Krishna is. And to that Krishna, if we don't surrender, then whom else we should surrender? If at all we want to love, he is the person whom we are supposed to love. That is the greatness of Krishna. And that is what we need to understand. That's why Bhagavad Gita is very clear. And when we understand this factually, without any misinterpretations, without understanding it from any other nonsensical sources that we have today, it's not that we get this knowledge from going to Google or Wikipedia and you get some knowledge and you try to understand this knowledge. It's not going to happen like that. It has to be revealed in parampara. So when we understand this knowledge in parampara, we appreciate the greatness of Krishna. Otherwise, many people read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Vedas, and they have no conclusion. They don't come to this conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme. So very, very special. This is not an ordinary thing. And moreover, to give this or to ensure that this idea sticks to our mind, Prabhupada is giving many wonderful quotes from different Vedas, because many people say that, okay, Krishna is mentioned in the Puranas, which are the Smritis, but not the Shrutis. Where is the confirmation in the Shrutis? Shruti means Vedas and the Upanishads. Where is the confirmation that Krishna only is the Supreme Lord? So that is mentioned in so many scriptures, and Prabhupada has given few examples in the purport. Actually, you all need to read this purport after the session. That will be very nice. So in the Atharva Veda, Prabhupada is saying, in Atharva Veda, there is Gopala Tapani Upanishad. It is said there that Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedamscha Gapayanti Sma Krishna, which means that in the beginning, Krishna instructed Brahma the Vedic knowledge. And then this Vedic knowledge was disseminated in the parampara. So first, it was given to Brahma. Who gave? It is said that Krishna gave. See, Gapayanti Sma Krishna. Very clearly it is said. Then again, in purport, Prabhupada is again saying from Narayana Upanishad, which says that Atap Purusho Havai Narayano Kamyata Praja Shriyati, which means Srijyati, which means Narayana is none other than Krishna. The Supreme Personality Narayana, when he desires that, oh yes, there should be living entities, I should create living entities, then everything comes into picture. So he desires that living entities should come. Why? Because for his enjoyment. The more he has living entities, the more he is able to enjoy, the more reciprocations. So he enjoys the most. And in the same Upanishad, again, Prabhupada is saying, Narayanat Brahmajayate Narayanat Prajapatihi Prajapatehe. Narayanat Indra Jayate, Narayanat Asto Vasaho Jayante, Narayanat Ekadasha Rudra Jayante, Narayanat Dwadashadityaha. So, Krishna or Narayana, it is said that Narayana is the one from whom Brahma is born, from whom all the Prajapatis are born. Indra is born, the Ashta Vasus, the 8 Vasus are born, the 11 Rudras are born, from the whom the 12 Adityas, the Dwadasha Adityas are born. So, Narayana is just an expansion of Krishna. The Narayana, Supreme Lord, is an expansion of the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Narayan is one of the expansion. Just like there are 4 expansion, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So Narayan is one of the expansion of Krishna. Very, very special. And again, Prabhupada is continuing to give some more examples. He says that Brahmanyo Devaki Putraha. Brahmanya means the Brahman, the original Brahman is who? Devaki Putraha. The son of Devaki, Krishna is the Supreme Personality. That is again mentioned in the Narayana Upanishad. And then again some more examples are coming. Eko vai Narayana asin na Brahma neshano napo nagani somo neme dev aprithvi na nakshatrani na suryaha. So it again said in the beginning of the creation, there was only the Supreme Personality, Narayana. There was no Brahma, there was no Shiva, there was no water, there was no fire, there was no moon, there was no heaven or earth, no stars in the sky, no sun also. Maha-Upanishad says that. Who was there? Eko Vai Narayana. Only Narayana was there before all this creation. Again, in the same Maha-Upanishad, it is also said that Lord Shiva was born from the forehead of the Supreme Personality of God. So many such examples are there from the Vedas and Mahabharata. In the Moksha Dharma section of Mahabharata, again very beautiful words Prabhupada is explaining. Prajapatim cha rudram chapi aham eva srijami vai tauhi mam na vijanito mama maya vimohito. Which is said that the patriarch, the Shiva and others were created by me. And though they do not know that they are created by me, because they are deluded by the illusory energy. Now imagine Shiva, Brahma, all these are deluded by the illusory energy. If they can be deluded by illusory energy, then what to speak of us? Great personality like Brahma and Shiva cannot understand Krishna. What to speak of us? Isn't it? Then Varaha Purana again continues to say that Narayana paro devas tasmat jataha chaturmukha tasmat rudro bhavat devaha sachas sarvam jnatam gataha. Very, very special. So Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from him Brahma was born, from whom Shiva was born. The point here is, it is just to reiterate and reinforce that idea that how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the Vedas are actually explaining this. Now, this is a real big blow for all the Mayavadis. If they generally talk about Vedas, they want to stick on to the Vedas, and using Vedas, they want to prove that the Lord does not have form. They does not have any qualities. Nirguna, Nirakara, they say. But here you see the Vedas himself, because they just take some bits and pieces from the Vedas and they want to prove the point that they want to. Because Vedas are so vast that you can prove any point you want. But ultimately, when you consolidate all the Vedas, all the Shrutis and the Smritis, then, and by the commentaries of the great Acharyas, the conclusion is that Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of God. So this is very special, because not everyone gets to know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Many people worship so many devatas and they are confused. Even the Saptarishis. Many people talk about Saptarishis today, and they have total misunderstanding. They say that, oh, the Saptarishis, they actually worship the Shiva. They may be worshipping the Lord Shiva, but they do not consider Shiva as the Supreme Lord. So then the concept of Saptarishis originating from the Adi Yogi, so many things goes on. They just want to use everything for their benefit, and it's like Ardha Kukuti Nyaya, half hen knowledge, half hen logic. It's right. I want only the back portion of the hen. I don't want the front portion. Why? Because front I have to feed the hen. Back I'll get the golden eggs. So that kind of logic will not work. I want only some portion of the Vedas and I'll reject the rest of it. That will not work. So these are few things that we need to understand. And in the next verse, in the 9th verse, Krishna is going to explain that how the great devotees, they try to understand these opulences of the Lord. What is their nature? What do they do to understand these opulences? And in detail, that will be explained in the next verse. So if you have any questions, you can please feel free to ask. Today I'm ending it a little early today because there is another meeting that I'm supposed to attend. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So in the today's session, we have got some good idea about how the Saptarishis were created, all the great personalities were created, the material and the spiritual universes were created, right? So all these things, when we know, we are just understanding how great Krishna is and what are his opulences. So we will continue from where we have left, and the next session we will continue from verse number 9. So all of you, please take care, and we will meet again next Sunday. Until then, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinodji. Hare Krishna, Hinamadaji.